Thank you to ASSOCHAM for inviting me here. ASSOCHAM has done a great job in continuously reminding policymakers about what are the immediate priorities that face their constituencies. And I'm sure I am really speaking to a lot of small and medium enterprises. Maybe the micro units may not really be represented within the ASSOCHAM community, but I'm sure the message will also go down to them. So let me simply start by listing out certain products and schemes that have come out, which some of you may not be really entirely aware of. And I think it's important that in this current pandemic situation, if you are not aware of certain schemes, kindly immediately latch onto them. So we start with the very fact that the Udyam platform has now been completely revamped. And today you have a very strong validation of the MSME units when they register onto the Udyam platform. My request to all of you is kindly register yourself on Udyam today, because there are several benefits that may be denied to you if you are not registered on the Udyam platform. This is something which has been created by the Ministry of MSME. And of course, SIDBI is closely working with the ministry on how to further make use of this platform. And as spoken by all the preceding speakers, I think if you're not digital by tomorrow, you're probably dead day after. So, this is really where the country is going. And it's amazing how we have a host of fintechs which are able to provide us great solutions. But of course, as business people, as bankers, we probably have to understand where the risks are and then mitigate those risks. So Udyam is the first, ECLGS is the second. So kindly approach your bank and immediately make sure that you get the benefit of ECLGS. These are low interest rate loans. They are top-up loans. They give you another additional 10%, or if you have not used it earlier, another 20% of your existing borrowings. And this is backed by the government's guarantee scheme. So the banks are per se giving out these loans at a very, very reasonable interest rate. So kindly make use of this in the current situation. The Trades platform is another platform. I know it has its, sort of teething troubles, but of late we have seen a higher volume on the trades. It is driven by the buyer. So I know the MSMEs may be vendors to large buyers. The trade platform is driven by the buyer, but it's getting better. There are many more financiers which have come onto the trades platform, and SIDBI is working very closely with all the trades platforms to get more and more buyers to bring their MSME vendor invoices onto the trades platform. The kind of discount rates that the trades platform are witnessing are quite amazing. Of course, this is aligned with the credit rating of the large buyers who are doing the reverse factoring and therefore helping the MSMEs get an easy and a quicker payment. Delayed payments is something that we have talked about for a very long time. I'm completely aware the MSMEs are plagued by this particular problem. I think it really requires all of us, the government, SIDBI, in its role as a DFI for the MSMEs, we need to probably look at more avenues of how to, stop this hemorrhaging, because even today there is probably 90 days to 180 days delay in payments, and that's something which is bleeding the MSMEs. So we are definitely trying to get trades to become, one of the answers, but it's certainly not the main answer. The IBC, the IBBI under the IBC has also tried its best to make sure that the MSMEs can file their invoices on the information utility, but that's something which is really for taking other companies to default. And because the threshold has been raised from 1 lakh to 1 crore, a lot of MSMEs have told us that they do not have probably that kind of outstanding with the company, and therefore the route of NCLT is no longer available to them. Let us see whether that 1 crore stays going forward or not. The Atmanirbhar schemes have come out in a very positive way. The MSME clusters are getting created in aerospace defense, in pharma. This is something which SIDBI is closely tracking. We've got schemes which are meant for the MSMEs with very, very competitive interest rates. And therefore, kindly, get in touch with SIDBI if you are interested in coming into these new sectors, because these are the up and coming sectors. The power sector is focusing a lot on energy efficiency products. And there again, SIDBI is working with the Power Ministry for bringing in debt plus equity support for entities that are going to get into this. SIDBI, of course, has its own set of financing. The RBI recently gave 16,000 crores to SIDBI. And let me quickly explain that SIDBI has its own direct finance book, but the large amounts of finance that SIDBI brings into the market is through the refinance route. And SIDBI is particularly trying to do the refinance for portfolios of NBFCs and MFIs. And this is really, of course, if you ask me, the biggest challenge that we face as to how to get into better rating models, how to look at risk mitigation measures such that more and more NBFCs and MFIs can come within the thresholds that SIDBI has maintained for being able to refinance their books. And that's something which will really leverage the existing balance sheets of these smaller lenders. So I think, very clearly, SIDBI is looking at pushing money into the smaller lenders. We are working very hard. We're once again using all sorts of digital technology that is available to improve our own risk rating measurements. And we should be able to move. So today, if we are dealing with about 100 NBFCs and MFIs for refinance, we hope to make that 200 fairly soon. So, it's really about making the entire ecosystem move ahead. And we ourselves are doing an end-to-end digitization, and we are therefore going to transplant that digitization to all our refinance partners too. And this is really how we look at trying to increase the assurance levels of any lender in the country today, because at the end of the day, digital tools are available. If the lenders are small, we're creating a digital hub so that the lenders can use those tools on the SIDBI hub, and therefore we intend to push digitization through to a lot more lenders than what it is probably happening today. The equity space, I would be remiss not to talk about that. The SME exchanges somehow probably have not picked up the way they were expected to. I remember when I was in SEBI, we created the institutional trading platform. That again probably has not really seen the traction that was intended. So we need to work on that. And I'm happy for getting suggestions from ASSOCHAM on how to make the equity window work better on the existing platforms, maybe create even new debt equity platforms, because the UK Senate committee has talked about it. SIDBI is tasked to create debt platforms for the smaller debt segments. We're not talking about 100 crores of debt. We're talking about the smaller 10 to 50 crores of debt segment, which probably has not been addressed too well so far. The credit guarantee schemes of SIDBI and the government are, again, they've been around for a very long time. They are extremely popular with the banking system. We've got the NBFCs also now onto the CGT MSE, which is a credit guarantee scheme. So I'm just sharing this with all of you because the banking system has the ability to use the credit guarantee schemes and therefore reduce their own cost of lending. And I really think it's time that we all as bankers follow what the governor of RBI has been saying about transmission of the interest rate. The lower interest rates have to get transmitted and conveyed to the borrowers. And SIDBI in its own way has done that in our recent health scheme that we came up with. We actually brought down interest rates to levels of 5.5% to 6% for the MSME sector. So, we are attempting to do a lot. The outreach will continue. In fact, the DFS outreach has been huge in the last year or so. The DFS has been pushing the banks to do a lot of digitization. In fact, it's been talked about the end-to-end digitization, where the last mile has now finally been brought about by DFS with digital document execution, where both digital e-stamping and digital signing happens in a single shot. And this is on the NESL information utility platform. So now 15 states have given permission for digital e-stamping, and soon I expect all the states to join in. And that will really make that last mile signature on documents be completely digitized, including the stamp duty. So, there's a lot that government has been doing, but I'm not here as a spokesperson of government, but all I can say is that please let us interact more, let us get more ideas from all of yourselves, and we are more than happy to take this forward. I've been noting some excellent points that have been made by speakers today. I certainly believe that to be able to use authentic data, single source of truth data, that is really a great thing in this country. We've talked about a lot of digitization stacks, and we'll be adding more to that. So let me just stop there, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Yeah, thanks a lot, sir. That was really illuminating. Just one question for you. We have this one-time restructuring for SMEs. Now, there's also a new one which the policy has also spoken of. Can you spend a minute just talking about this one-time restructuring scheme, and any idea about how much of loans would have gotten restructured over the years?
So I'm not too sure of the numbers, but from whatever I'm reading in the press, the restructuring was not very popular the first time around. And therefore, I think a lot of large banks have been talking about the expected numbers to multiply now. And I think it's actually a very good thing, because if you look at the RBI's monetary policy of 5th May, and the circulars which have come thereafter, it gives bankers a lot of flexibility on how to do this restructuring. And I really feel that the bankers have owed this duty to their borrowers to reach out to them and educate them and tell them how this restructuring is going to work, because there is a lot of power given in the hands of the bankers to do this restructuring in sort of suiting the requirements of the borrowers. So I would expect restructuring to really pick up, because it's backed by the government. It's a sovereign guarantee. So you're talking about 100% sovereign guarantee of the loans being given out under ECLGS, which is part and parcel of the restructuring program. So it's something which banks should be, sort of very, they should find it friendly enough to do. And I expect the volumes to pick up. I mean, the expectation is that this particular scheme should tide over the problems of several of the MSMEs.